Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of Startup Stories. Today we have Aaron Buckingham with us. Welcome, Aaron, to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Sure. So I have a company called One Vision Consulting Lloydminster, and what I do is the same thing I like to do in real life when I'm not working for my company. I have a simple vision and mission statement for both my company and myself, and it is focus on the success of others, and your success will naturally follow. And that indeed is my happy place when I get to that stuff. If I see others succeeding and other people happy succeeding, that's what makes me happy. So my company is basically doing business development, culture checks, all that kind of stuff on businesses to make sure they put their best foot forward, that their staff are empowered, their staff are happy, their marketing and their general community stewardship is handled properly. And that's what I do.
That's amazing. That's sweet.
I like it. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, you see people succeed and do well, and that's where it's at for me.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So what is your business called?
One Vision Consulting.
Perfect. So how long have you been operating for?
So we started in November of 2018, and it's funny how this stuff goes because you're in a career. I was in a career for the 17 years previous to that that I thought I would probably be in for the rest of my life. And then one day you don't have that career anymore, and your whole world kind of crumbles down. And you hear these success stories occasionally, and they're pretty cool. Like I laid in bed for about a day after my other career ended unexpectedly, and you're devastated, right? You're laid right out, or I was anyways. And my wife actually pulled me aside after the next day and said, you're really scared your kids. I'm like, what are you talking about? Said, your kids have never seen you in that state. Like completely devastated and just no go at all. And that was scary for your kids. I'm like, okay, learn something from that. But from the ashes, things can rise occasionally. So it's you go from total devastation one day to getting able to start your company and see some success with that. So at the time it happened, it was the worst thing that could have ever happened. And you look back on it a year or so later and go, it was the best thing that ever happened, right? So it's funny how that stuff starts. And that's the cool part of being an entrepreneur and doing those types of things is you go from something to something else, and it's a struggle and it's stressful. But at the end of the day, sometimes the worst things that you think are happening to you can be the best things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. It's a really cool story that you have with that.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that kind of thing inspires others or brings them out of the darkness, you know, because I was in the darkness there for a small amount of time where I was like, wow, this sucks. And in the end, it turned out really well. So I guess the messaging is there is light at the end of the tunnel, and go towards that and try and bring yourself back from it. It might turn out way better than you thought.
Yeah, that is so inspiring. So with your entrepreneurial journey that you mentioned, how has startup helped you?
The first thing I did was come and we did a business model canvas and all of those things based on the ideas I had. And it wasn't that I learned a ton from it as far as, logistically or whatever, but it was backing. It was confidence that I came out of it with, because all of the ideas I had fit in with Holly and the business model canvassing. And it gave me the go ahead to say, yep, you can do this. Somebody else has looked at it. Somebody else looks at the idea that you're working on and says, yeah, we think you can find success with this. And so that was the biggest thing for me, I think, it was a real confidence builder to work with the team at Startup right off the bat when, I am self-admittedly not a very confident person, and people are sometimes stunned to hear me say that because they say, oh, you come off so confident, all the different things you do in the community and stuff. That is not me. Like, I am not confident in myself. And my self-confidence level on a scale of 1 to 10, that somebody tested at one time was like a 3. And they're like, how do you become a 3 in the self-confidence scale when you're out in the public doing all these things all the time and you just come off so strong? I'm like, no, but the true me is not self-confident whatsoever. So to have somebody else look at the idea you had, which you're somewhat confident in, and somebody else telling you, yeah, this is going to work for you, you can do this, that was the most valuable thing for me. And that's just based on my personality of having that struggle in my life of 0 or next to no self-confidence.
Just having that reassurance of like, hey, like, this is a good idea, you're going to make it.
Yeah, and just, being able to come to Startup and bounce ideas off people, because it wasn't just the beginning that I've worked with Startup. It's been different things that have come and gone throughout the years. And even before I started my company, I was a business mentor with Startup, again, because I love seeing people succeed and hearing their ideas and seeing where they want to get themselves. So my relationship with Startup continues today, back and forth. You just never know. And the nice thing about Startup is it's fine. You can walk through the door and somebody will talk to you about things and help you along, and they're genuinely interested in what you're doing, because the staff at startup are those people. They're the people that want to see people do well. And so it's fun, and I don't think a lot of people realize that you don't need to be a brand new business to come to startup either, right? You can be an existing business looking to expand or grow and reach out to different things, and the folks at startup are always there to assist in that regard. So I think the name startup is a little
Misleading almost, yeah.
right? When it comes to the fact, well, I'm a brand new business, I can go to startup. Well, I'm an existing business, I can't go to startup. Yes, you can,
Yeah.
right? And they've got a great team of mentors that help with that kind of stuff too. So I think if there's a message on the startup side of things, it's not just for startups. It's for everybody.
Yeah, it's for everyone, no matter what stage you're at
Yeah.
in your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
We're
And
here to help.
I learned that too, because I was in that same boat thinking that startup was for startups,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So, but it's so much more.
yeah, for sure. So at what stage of your business do you think that startup Lloydminster was especially helpful?
Well, I think at the very beginning,
Yeah.
for certain. But again, the self-confidence piece and getting that together. But I bounce ideas off the folks at startup all the time, still today.
Yeah.
We're 2023, and this started in 2018. So it's valuable all the time. But I think the most valuable thing was giving me that confidence to pull the trigger and get to work.
So in addition to just reassuring you on your business idea, what other services and resources has startup provided you with?
I think opportunities, because the thing that helped me a lot was I had the idea of what I wanted to do, and startup has actually helped me to morph that into things that I hadn't even considered off the bat, to help my business be fluid and grow and offer different opportunities to other people. And I think I was singularly focused in the beginning on the one thing that I was going to focus in on, and it's turned into so much more than that. And I think, again, it was the confidence that startup gave me when I bounced some ideas off, or they said, hey, did you think about this? Or hey, would you think about, or would you consider doing this? Like, yeah, I could do that, but I hadn't done that.
Yeah.
Right. So I think without that little push off the ledge a little bit, I may not be where I am today with the growth of my company and the things that I'm doing for people today. So I think that's the biggest secondary thing from the beginning.
Yeah, it's always really nice to brainstorm like different
Yeah.
ideas with different people. I know around the office we always say that Wendy always has such great ideas, because no matter what, she seems to have an amazing idea that
Yeah.
is very useful.
And then attending the startup sessions that are happening, the lunch and learn sessions, and the cocktails and conversations and that kind of stuff. And to me, that stuff is very valuable, just to be able to have those talks with people, right, about how they're doing in their business and something you could learn from them. Because I think every time I talk to somebody, I learn something new about them, or about their business, or about what's going on in their life, or what's going on in the community. And I love to hear everybody else's stories.
Yeah, yeah. I know on the last episode we had Shauna talking about like building community through startup, and she said that coffee, cocktails, and conversations was kind of like a big thing for her with just getting to know different entrepreneurs, because she said that it's kind of tough to meet other people if you don't know where to start.
Yeah.
Right.
If you can go into any of those things with an open mind, that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing, right? Because like in my other position with Firewise, I'm sending some folks to a fire school in the fall here, and there's going to be 200 students in that school from across Saskatchewan. And I said to them, to my staff that's going, I said, you know what, you guys? I said, the courses you're taking are great. I said, but take advantage of the other stuff. Meet people, go out of your way to introduce yourself to people, talk to them about their successes, their challenges, their struggles, right? And you can grow and learn from that too. And those cocktails and conversations and those types of things are very similar to that. If you sit back and you choose to just sit there like a bump on a log and not get out there and actually push yourself a little bit to meet some people, you're going to leave that and you're going to go, well, those things they don't do anything. They're no good for me.
Yeah.
You have to take the onus on yourself a little bit too, to get out and meet those people and ask those questions. You never know what you're going to find out, but I guarantee you, if you do it, you're going to find something. You're going to take something valuable out of it, but you have to take your own initiative too.
Yeah. And also a sense of community with others always
Yeah.
makes a better experience, I find.
And you never know when you might need to lean on somebody or ask them a question or whatever. Making those direct contacts with people, whether they're new entrepreneurs or existing entrepreneurs or have been doing it for years, right? It's amazing to me how things come full circle from time to time. When you talk to different people and you make those connections, you just never know when you're going to end up picking up the phone and making that call.
Yeah.
And mutually beneficial relationships, right? People that come to these things and people that want to do these things are genuinely great people,
Yeah.
right? And they're going to say, yeah, give me a call anytime. That'll be great. But you have to get there and make those connections. And that's what builds the community and everybody's success.
I completely agree. So overall, how would you describe your experience with Startup Lloydminster? Would you describe it as a good experience?
For sure. I have zero bad things to say about the experience with startup, and would encourage anybody to check it out. The other thing is there's no cost, there's no obligation. I mean, come and ask the question. Even that in itself can be out of your comfort zone, right? Just actually coming in and having the confidence to come in and talk to somebody about it. It's a judge-free environment.
Yeah.
You're gonna come in with your idea. They're gonna talk to you about it, and you know what? I would suggest that nobody's going to sugarcoat it either. If it's terrible, and it doesn't happen often, but if it's, I appreciate that. So you know what? Maybe that's not the best thing for you. They're gonna tell you they want to see you successful too. So having an open mind enough to understand what's going on and appreciate where they're coming from and the advice they're giving you. Open mind is huge.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. So earlier you mentioned with your business, like it kind of went in a direction that you weren't really anticipating, but you're really happy that it did go that way. Looking at your business now, what do you see for your business in the future?
Yeah, I think continual adaptation to what's going on, right? Just trying to figure out what's best, and and those decisions you make as someone running your own business, sometimes they're tough. Sometimes you struggle with them for sure. And for me, it's keeping in mind always my clients and the people that they're serving and keeping them happy, right? So I think that getting around those things and getting your mind around that stuff and continuing to be open-minded and changing how it goes, I think that's key, because there are certain businesses that they're very niche and they stay within that, right? And there's success in that too.
Yeah.
In my type of business, when you're working with this stuff, the environment's always changing, and being able to adapt to the changing environment of the business world is a big thing.
Yeah, because it's always changing, the business world. It's crazy. Even just looking back at businesses 10 years ago compared to now, like it's totally different.
Yeah, and I would say I've in a personal growth phase of things, I've become more open-minded to that stuff, because I was pretty set in my ways and I do things the way I do them, and even that was a learning experience for me to try and open my own mind up and make sure that I was able to adapt and change and truly listen to what people were saying.
Yeah. So would you recommend startup to other aspiring entrepreneurs?
No, don't come here. No, no, absolutely. Like I said, there's no question about it. No idea is too big or too small. No business is too young or too old to come into startup and utilize the services and just get some feedback and see how it goes. I think that's the biggest message I would want to promote from startup is, anybody and everybody.
Yeah, and that's the other nice thing is like you have nothing to lose.
No, you
so
really
why
don't.
Not?
You really don't. Invest a little bit of your time and away you go, and you might make a connection just even coming through the door.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the folks at startup know lots of people too, and might end up hooking you up with somebody that they know.
Yeah.
And then together the two businesses get together, and there's never, in my opinion, whether it's startup or anything else you're doing in life, there's nothing wrong with having a conversation, because you just never know where it's going to lead.
Yeah, I completely agree. So what kind of advice do you have to aspiring entrepreneurs?
Open mind, right? That's the biggest thing, right? Open mind to conversations, open minded to suggestions, right? Not being uber sensitive to criticism, which is tough for a lot of people, myself included.
Yeah.
Right. And criticism might be too harsh of a word, but maybe I should put the word constructive in front of it. Constructive criticism, right? To say, hey, you've got this idea and that's great on the surface, but what if you did this or did that, right? And I think that open-mindedness and being able to handle both the accolades and the criticism is something that is really key to success in any form of business.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's great advice. I really like that. Well, that's all for our interview. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate
no problem.
it.
Glad to do it. And if some people get something out of this, that's amazing, right? It may be something big. It might help them do something small, whatever. And that's the thing. As long as we're moving the needle forward, focus on the success of others, and your success will naturally follow.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. So to anyone listening, you can find this podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. We also post this on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you all for tuning in, and see you next time.